Hello friends, welcome to a new session. Let's start. In this video tutorial, we will discuss the last part of the chapter Sexual Reproduction in Flowering Plant that contains the apomixis, polyembryony, etc. So in the previous class, we have discussed about the most important thing, that is how the seed remains in the period of dormancy or the dormancy phase, and during the suitable condition, during the adequate amount of moisture, temperature, water and all the necessary requirement, when it is filled off by the environment, when the environment is very suitable for the seed to germinate, it will come out from the period of dormancy and undergoes development after germination. And how the microphylar end, which is present in the structure of the ovule, which we have already discussed, this microphylar end or the microphylar pore plays a very important role in getting water and oxygen inside the ovule, so that the seed, this is the ovule or the developed ovule which is modified to form the seed, is now ready to germinate, and the seed coats are formed with the help of the integuments. Okay, so we have also discussed about the parthenocarpic fruit, seedless fruit, and how they are formed with the process of the parthenocarpy. Example was banana. We have also discussed about the true fruit and the false fruit. In case of true fruit, the ovary develops into fruit. But in case of the false fruit, the thalamus plays important role. The thalamus helps in the formation of fruit. That is why it is called false fruit. And the examples were apple, strawberry and cashew. So now we will discuss in detail about the seed germination, and we will go for the two important terms, that is the apomixis and polyembryony. Okay, so let's start this tutorial. So we have discussed about different fertilization events, pre-fertilization events and post-fertilization. We are discussing the post-fertilization events. So the reproductive process, processes. What are the reproductive processes? The reproductive processes may include the pollination, fertilization, etc. Okay, so during these reproductive processes, the requirement of water has less importance, or they are independent of the water, independent of water requirement. But in case of the seed formation, the water has more important. Water plays important role. Okay, so water has importance in the germination of food as well as its formation. Seed have better adaptive strategies. Why? Because I have told you that there are some seeds who can live for more than thousands of years and can germinate. So let's discuss about that in detail. Why I said that seed have better adaptive strategies? Why? Because it has adaptive strategies. The seed dispersal is important. Seed dispersal means the seed, after being matured inside the fruit, comes out from the fruit and goes to different places and can adapt in different habitat. After dispersal, it will grow in a new habitat. So without proper adaptive strategy, the seed cannot grow in a new habitat, and it helps the species to colonize in other area. So it help for colonization in other areas. Okay, so as it get dispersed to a new habitat, at that particular habitat it starts to grow, it starts to make colony, and it is because of its better adaptive strategy. They have sufficient food reserves. The seeds have sufficient food reserve that will help the seed during adverse condition to supply the specific nutrients so that it can survive. It nourishes the young seedlings. This reserve food nourishes the new seedling till it is eligible for photosynthesis. So this reserve food, which supplies nutrients to the dry seed, which is in its dormancy period or inactive period, okay, where the metabolic activities is reduced, so that less nutrients is required for the seed, but that requirement is filled off by the cells, by the food reserve, which nourishes the new seedlings till it is capable of photosynthesis. Okay, so the hard seed coat provides protection to young embryo. The seed has a hard seed coat, and it provides protection to the seed. So it is as a product of sexual reproduction, the seed are genetically different, or genetic recombination occurs in the seed. Genetic recombination of seed leads to variation. So it leads to variation of the characteristics of the newly formed plant. Okay, so the new seedling may have different characters than its parental plant because it is a result of sexual reproduction, and variation is possible in this case. Okay, so next is the importance of seed. Why the seed is important? Okay, so seed are better or modified in such a way so that it can develop better adaptability. Okay, so let's move on to the importance of seed. So why seed is important? Seed is important. Why? In order to cultivate different types of plants, we need seed. So without seed, agriculture is impossible without seed. So for agriculture we need seed, and seed is the basic requirement for education, for agriculture. Now dehydration and dormancy of mature seed are crucial for storage. One is the dehydration. Dehydration means water loss of water, and another is dormancy. These two are important for the storage of the seed. Okay, for food to raise crop in next season or next season, we need the seeds to raise crop in the next season. We need the storage, proper storage. By the dehydration or making the seeds dry, we store that properly so that we can use that seed in the next season to raise crop. Okay, so some seeds lose viability within months. Viability, the term viability is important. Viability means its activity, or when we plant that particular seed, it may not produce a crop or may not grow into a new seedling or plant. So when it is able to make a new plant, the seed, that means the seed is viable. So it is capable of producing a new plant. Viability. Okay, so the viability of seeds the seed may lose its viability within months. It may lose the viability within few months, or it may survive, or in some species the seed remains viable for several years. In some species this seed remains viable even for years. Okay, so according to different species, the viability of seed changes. In some plants, the seed has a viability of up to few months, but in some other plants, it may be viable for years. Okay, some even survive for hundreds of years. Hundreds of years. It is just magical. If you will think that how a small seed can give rise to a huge plant, just think, it is really a magical, it seems magical. Okay, so this is only possible due to the viability, due to its storage by making dehydrated or taking out the water content of the seed, and as the seed enters into a period of inactivity, the metabolic processes comes down so that it can easily survive inside for years. Okay, so now we have some examples. The oldest viable seed. The oldest viable seed. The oldest viable seed is lupine. It is the lupine. Okay, so it is excavated from Arctic tundra. Okay, excavated from Arctic tundra, and it is the oldest viable seed discovered. So seed germinated and flowered after 10,000 years. This is the oldest one, and the plant lupine is germinated and flowers also appear in that plant even after 10,000 years. Okay, so seed germinated even after 10,000 years. So this is the oldest viable, or viable means active seed which can germinate. Recently, in date palm, it was found that the date palm seed germinated even after 2,000 years. It is found recently. Okay, date palm, remember. So next we will go for the last part, that contains the two important terms, the apomixis and polyembryony. So before going to that, let's recap. Look at the board. seed is important for agriculture, because in order to raise crop in the next season we need seed again, and seed becomes viable only when stored properly after making it dehydrated or drying it, and when the seed enters to a period of dormancy or period of inactivity. Okay, so the seed is stored like that, and some of the plants are viable up to few months and some up to years and even hundred of years. So this is a special case. Oldest viable seed lupine is found in the Arctic tundra, and it was viable until 10,000 years, and it successfully germinated and flowers appear in the plant. Date palm is the recently found viable seed having a record of 2000 years of viability. Okay, apomixis and polyembryony. Let's move on. Apomixis and polyembryony. Along with this, I will also discuss some important terms. Okay. Apomixis. What is apomixis? We need to understand fast before going to polyembryony. Few flowering plants, such as in some species of the Asteraceae, some species of Asteraceae and grasses evolves a special mechanism to produce seeds without fertilization. These two are the examples. These two are some plants that evolves a special mechanism by which seeds are produced. The seeds produced without fertilization. So the mechanism by which seeds are produced without fertilization is known as apomixis. Remember, process, special mechanism, the process or special mechanism by which seeds produced without fertilization, we call that as apomixis, which is found in case of Asteraceae and grasses. Okay, so it is a form of asexual reproduction that mimics sexual reproduction. It is a type of asexual reproduction, and it looks like mimics. Mimics means makes copy. It seems like sexual reproduction. Mimics sexual reproduction. Okay, so it is a type of asexual reproduction, apomixis, but it looks as if it is a type of sexual reproduction. Okay, in some species, diploid egg cell is formed without reduction division and develop into embryo without fertilization. So fertilization will not occur here. I have told you, process or seeds are produced, or it is a process by which seeds are produced without fertilization. Okay, apomixis. So diploid egg cells formed without reduction division. Diploid eggs without reduction. Without reduction division means without meiosis. Okay, so this is the formation of embryo without fertilization, and the examples of plants are citrus, orange, etc. Citrus means orange will also come under that. Okay, orange, lemon, mango is also an example, mango. So these are the example of production of seeds without fertilization or production of embryo without fertilization. Each ovule contains many embryo. It is another case. Polyembryony. Polyembryony is the case when polyembryony. So let me erase this first before going to polyembryony. In case of polyembryony, what will happen? Presence of more than one embryo. Presence of more than one embryo in a seed. In a single seed, more than one embryo is present. It is called polyembryony, and it was first discovered by Leeuwenhoek in the year 1719. It is common in case of the gymnosperm. Gymnosperm, it is common, and in case of angiosperms or angiospermic plants, it is rare. Okay, so presence of more than one embryo in one seed is polyembryony. Okay, it is also reported in orange by Leeuwenhoek. Leeuwenhoek reported polyembryony in orange. This is important, in orange in the year 1719. So now let's go for another term, which means the apomixis we have discussed. Polyembryony is also there, and let's discuss the detail of apomixis, why it is named so and all. Okay, so let's now go in detail about the apomixis. So the term apomixis was first defined by Hans Winkler. Okay, and it means replacement of normal sexual reproduction by asexual reproduction. Normal sexual reproduction is replaced by asexual reproduction. Okay, so Hans Winkler defined it as the replacement of sexual reproduction with asexual reproduction, and the result will be without fertilization. Okay, so Hans Winkler. In some plants, meiosis and syngamy are interacted. No meiosis and syngamy. No fertilization and no division, reductional division. And still a viable embryo is found, and it will still, we can get a viable embryo. Okay, so this is the process. And here, in such asexual seeds which produce the progeny produced are identical to mother. They are identical to mother. Why? Because they are produced as a result of asexual reproduction without fertilization. So no variation or no change occurs. And this is the seed form is called apomictic seed. The seed formed is apomictic seed because it is formed as a result of apomixis. So it is called apomictic seed. Okay, and the phenomenon is known as the apomixis, through which without meiosis, without syngamy, without fertilization, with the use of asexual reproduction from the mother plant, different seeds are formed, and without syngamy also they are viable, they form viable embryo, so that the seeds which are formed are called apomictic seed, and the process is known as the apomixis. Apo means away from, apo means away from, and mixes means mixing or mingling. Okay, so mixes means act of mixing or mingling. Mingling means union of male and female gamete. Without this, away from mixing, without syngamy, without union, fusion of male and female gamete, this will occur. So apomixis is not very common in crop plants, and inspired by potential benefits of apomictic reproduction, plant breeders are making serious attempt to use this process to make transformation. So once, if we will successfully do this in crop plants, once a hybrid seed is prepared, it can be used in the process of apomixis, and identical to mother means if one seed which is hybrid type is taken and we will get the seed, the apomictic seed, through the process of apomixis, means without fertilization we will get the viable embryo. If this is successful in case of crop plants, once the seed which is prepared by different technologies, biotechnological processes, that hybrid seed can be used from generation to generation, generation after generation. Once we will make a hybrid, we can use it repeatedly, so that the farmers can get the seed once and they can use it lifetime. But it is not yet successful, so that plant breeders are making research on this field, so that if it will be successful, then the cost of production, the cost of farming can be reduced, and more amount of yielding or more products can be yield or can be produced by the farmer. Farmer will get profit if this research will be successful. So another thing I want to say here, the parthenogenesis or development of egg into an embryo without fertilization, it is a type of apogamy. It is called apogamy, where gametophytic cells develop into sporophytes, that is embryo. So haploid eggs develop into embryo and they are sterile. So mostly in case of parthenogenesis, when the seed is produced, it is normally sterile because they are haploid. Okay, so this is all about the apomixis, polyembryony, and how the seed gets germinate in favorable condition, how it undergoes into a metabolically inactive stage or dormancy phase, how it is stored by dehydration, and we can use it and it remains viable. It undergoes a period of dormancy and it remains viable when proper condition or the required condition will appear. It will germinate and give rise to a new seedling, and the nutrient is provided to the seed so that it can grow into a new seedling, and the nutrient is provided until it is capable of photosynthesizing itself and it can fill its own demand of food. So this is all about this chapter, the reproduction in flowering plants. If you have any doubts, please comment below and I will take another class of this chapter to elaborate your doubts. If not, let's proceed to the next chapter from the next session. If you like this video, hit the like button. It will encourage me to make more videos for you. Please comment your doubts and do not forget to subscribe. Thank you very much.